The rest of the parts are supposed to be here tonight, fingers crossed, but there's a lot I can do before they get here because it's mostly brackets and stuff for the clutch. So I ripped the solenoid off the original starter, and it's got a lever to engage and disengage the gear. So couldn't really use that, so I picked up solenoid and some ends because I didn't have the right size. I'll have to drill these out, but that's okay. Got a pulley and bracket on eBay because they were back ordered and took forever. We've had the clutch for a long time. Little bolts for the cage, got my sleeve, and then wiring, the fun part. Okay. Wiring harness take 3. I kept going in circles about this purple wire because it just didn't make sense to me that it would ground at any point. So I dug back in a little bit. I kept looking at, okay, this red goes to the starter, but that starter only has 2 terminals. It has the battery in and it has the go juice out. And I was like, that red has to be where the charge wire ends up, right? Or the red just goes to the battery side, which makes sense to me. And it's like, if the red goes to the battery side, well, that is B, and B connects to L, and L is that orange that I thought was a ground when purple connect to it, and I thought I was going nuts, but that's because I followed the orange up to 85, and I was like, oh, 85's chassis ground. It's not. It's not. 85 or an 86, right? It's just a coil. They're interchangeable. So if I go back and look, like where 86 goes, there's that red, white, and that goes into this delay module. Well, then I glanced at 30, where I'd expect usually, common stuff, power goes in and then it sends it out the other side. Well, white's not powered. White is the ground kill for the ignition, and that B goes back to the engine ground. So all these dashed lines B, which it gives to 85 on some of them, but not on this one, those are a ground. And that B ends up coming back to, where did it go? There, it goes up to his buddy, it comes down, goes up to the ground on that side for the blades, and it tucks under, and it goes to 85, and then it comes down here, and it goes to the delay module. Either way, we know it's a ground, and we know that it's a ground for the clutch, because that engine block ground goes straight to the clutch control. So the positive side of the clutch, and then comes over here to the switch. And if that's normally open and it closes when we do the switch, then O has to be getting power to make the clutch trigger. And that O is what we thought was a ground. So yeah, purple is going to be 12 volts. Purple is going to be what we use for the fuel solenoid, white for the ignition kill. And then where this goes to this red that goes to the starter that powers everything, that's going to be on the battery side. And so we're also going to tie in our charge wire to red as well, and that should work. Electrical's basically done. We got the clutch wire already made for the other side, so I can slip through there and hang out. You have all the stuff going to the plus to the battery, I think is supposed to. Out, this goes to the starter, there's our trigger wire, and then this little cluster here has everything lined up. This weird looking line is actually purple, it's just sun faded. So that's our charge wire, goes and charges the battery. And then the white one is ignition kill, and the purple going to the gray should open the fuel solenoid. So we'll see how it works. The only thing that's left are chassis grounds. So I did this one plus the battery ground plus this guy. I wanted to make sure the solenoid had a good ground to the body. I'll need to go, I think, on that engine mount up there. It's not tight yet. I just put the nuts on so this wouldn't go flying and it'd have some wiggle room, because these two engine mounts use the bracket. So this bracket goes in place, and then this will be on the clutch and slides over. I already pushed the bushing in, and if it's pretty loosey-goosey, I think there's a lot of wiggle room to get this thing to line up right once it's installed. But when that's on, we can get these close, right, so it doesn't come out, and then we'll do our stack. Essentially this pulley has to go in which way? Look at the one I cut in half. Here. Looks like this way. Yeah, the bigger diameter's on the bottom there, and it goes down into that clutch pack. So that makes sense because this is pretty tight up to the engine. That's why I couldn't just do the crank. So yeah, this side up, and then that shim that I'm going to be using to use this shaft side. Just check that fits nice. Has a bigger key, And the only part that gets the key is this one. So I want to cut this key if it's too long, which it's not. So we can use that key in here. Oh, is this even gonna reach? I'm gonna have to cut this. Okay, I'm not a crazy person. They shipped it with the wrong side. So they had this on this side, right? And it looks like it's got bearings, so you could. This camera sucks. Okay, for a second I thought I was a crazy person. So this guy, right, that bolts up, this clutch can be installed either way. It's got a bearing, it looks like, on each side, and then well, it shouldn't be installed either way. This is the way that's right, because the pulley should spin. Man, it's kind of tight. We'll see how it runs. But this goes on, yeah, this side goes up. So this guy has to go on this side, and it was on the other side from the manufacturer. So yeah, we'll just need to make sure that with that sleeve in place, that, and actually this really makes me happy too, because this is keyed. So when this is bolted to that crank nice and tight, it should help a little bit. So got the bracket in place, engine's bolted down, grounds are in place. So I was looking for throttle stuff, and I noticed this bracket. I was like, what the hell does it go to? Like, here's the throttle, right? There's a spring of a thing on it, so when the governor does its thing, it kind of wiggles around and tries to maintain speed. Well, full throttle, it's all the way up, and it's a lot of spring pressure. And I noticed this guy, I was like, oh, is that the choke? I was like, no, that's spring. So I guess I'm gonna put this on. So with that unhooked, it's really easy to push that linkage. So that's full throttle, not full throttle. So if it's full throttle and I want it to not be full throttle, I have to put more pressure on that spring, which is this way. See how it gives force and it pulls it open to kind of overcome whatever the governor is trying to do and pull it down, right? So we want this to go out to bring the throttle down. All the way out here is throttle down on my engine. So really what I want is with full throttle, right where that spring starts to touch, right? So right there is when it's going to stop doing anything. There's no point in pushing it, pulling it, that is, this way any further, because it doesn't help us. So I want it at full throttle on my control, and this right about there, and then clamp that down. It's kind of bending it funny. That should be pinched enough. I'll move the throttle, so that's full throttle, and then this should pull it closed. That's low speed. Yeah, really difficult to push up. And then open, go slow, go fast, go slow, go fast. Okay. Now I was looking around too, and the choke is on this side, and it's hooked to this lever. So there's the choke, and I wonder if up is choked and down is not. Like, is this a automatic? Is this little thing, when it gets warm, it just pushes that, and then, or is it already warm because it's warm out, and then in the winter time is this gonna like come down here and choke it a little bit? I have no idea. Either way, I don't see any purposeful linkage for the choke, so I think this is a little automatic unit. It's just temperature regulated mechanically. So I'm going to leave it like this. I'll leave the choke cable. I don't know what to do with it. I'm not ready for exhaust yet. I got to put this guy on. Oh, wow, 35% battery. Hope I can make it. We have belts and stuff. Oh, I should get a light. It's an unfortunate camera angle. Can't really see the keyway, but yeah, this way, big side down, and then this is impossible. Let's put my hand on the way. Screw it. And that's at least now I know it's lined up with the key, so I don't have to fight that part. There we go. And then then this bracket, oh, come on. All I gotta do is get some threads in. Oh, my face. Please reach. So the shaft is too short and the bolt won't even reach. Please just start. No, I never even checked if the bolt threads in, to be honest. How fun would that be? Okay, let's do that. So I might need a longer bolt. Even check the bolt thread. No, it works. But it might be, we might be sitting like right here with like no thread engagement. Oh, I hope I don't need to buy a longer bolt. Okay, so this is a problem because this is about 6 inches. It's a 6-inch shaft. Well, hole, and that's a 3-inch shaft, so common problem of mine. And then this bolt isn't even 3 inches, so with this on all the way, this will still be like a 1/4 inch short. You know, story of my life. So I need to find a much longer bolt to kind of sandwich everything together, and then hope that that sleeve is strong enough to transmit power while it's installed. It should be, but if it isn't, it's going to beat up the sleeve and the keys. Hopefully. Yeah, so I'll get a bigger bolt. We'll be able to put all this together tomorrow, and then tonight I'll just get the exhaust together. Technically, I could start it to see if it runs, so that's good. Plugged in all night and the camera didn't charge. Didn't like that USB cord, but made a bunch of 15-degree cuts at work, so those should be 30-degree slices, so 3 of them. I got enough for 5 90s, and I have a flat with 15 on one side left over, and just in case I need to make up some weird angle. But yeah, we should be able to use that to make a halfway decent exhaust. I'm just going to leave this on the charger and knock it out. Here, fancy new exhaust. Fuel's hooked up. Thing left is a battery. So, Mike, if you want to hold this and point it at all these wires. Oh, why'd you do that? Jeez. Yeah, point it there, because if I made a mistake and something lights up, that's where all the fun will be. I wonder if this battery's even charged. Nothing caught on fire immediately. This is good. That fuel will probably take a long time to run too. I'm going to crank this thing. Nothing's on fire. So. Anyway, same thing. Watch that wiring area. So my key on. See if it's on fire. So for about like relays quit, so that's good. So I gave a bad relay because I had to pull this ground with the old motor because it stopped sparking. So whatever's up there is grounding the coils all the time. And we just had it burp a little bit, checking the voltage goes to the solenoid. So Mike, get that on that signal. There's probably air and stuff in the fuel line. starter though. Kind of running shitty. That's the paint getting hot, I hope. It's going to be really warm in there.
Yeah, when you're moving around though, it'll get good airflow.
Yeah. I wonder if I don't have the throttle hooked up quite right. Maybe I'll take that off and run it by hand.
Did you say it was moving?
Yeah, it moves, but if it's not adjusted right, maybe it's... like I just guessed. I'm suspecting the fuel solenoid, so we're going to put it straight in the battery. And see. You can hear it clicking, hear it? You know what? This is the jumper for my seat switch. Maybe that's all it was. Suspect fuel pump's not priming enough. So, let's see. It's like not even pushing there, pull a little dribble out. That's not enough fuel flow to keep it running, I don't think. Or maybe it is. Maybe I'm just ignorant. I was going to switch the pumps out, and I pulled the inline, and fuel barely came out of it, which surprised me. And then noticed that my tank selector got bumped, so this was sitting here, just like choking fuel off. I think we're good. If this fires up, I might hook up that ignition kill and see if it turns it off or not. So maybe that actually does work. Here you go, cameraman supreme.
That thing's still out. You said that doesn't.
Yeah, we don't leave that out. I'll plug that in to see if that ignition filter is fucked up. If it stays running. Sick. All right, so grill paint not hot enough, or maybe that'll just flash off and it'll cure. I don't know.